Hey, what's going on, y'all? Eric Mulder here with Code Red Conversations, back at it again this week. I figured I would grace y'all with my presence one more time this week. But seriously, I hope y'all having a good week so far. It's Friday for those of y'all that where it's applicable, where you might have a weekend off. It's Friday. Working for myself, being retired from law enforcement, the weekends kind of don't really matter like they used to. I used to really long for the weekends, but nowadays it's like try to stay so busy throughout the course of my week that the weekends really don't matter because I put in some effort, I put in some work consistently even on the weekends. But once again, I thank y'all for joining me today. Man, I've been off for a couple of weeks from the gym. Just a little short story here, real quick. I've been off from the gym for a couple of weeks and I made it back there because COVID hit the family, like I was saying the other day, and everyone got sick but me. I don't know how that happened. Maybe it's all the fitness and supplements and nutrients and all the hard work I put in there. I'm hoping anyway. But anyway, got back in the gym and I hit it pretty hard. So kind of worn out. So definitely going to enjoy my weekend. But let's jump right in, y'all. Once again, thank you for joining me. Yeah, brother. Yeah, man. I hit it twice. I hit legs twice this week. So I'm pretty smoked. That's probably what kicked my behind. Anyway, let's jump right into this discussion today. Clearly, y'all see why I'm here. My headline what is don't trust the media, or why I don't trust the media and why you shouldn't either. Let me give y'all a quick story just through my journey of leaving the Democratic Party and becoming a more conservative. What's up, Chris? How you doing, brother? Let me just tell y'all a quick story. I don't want to get distracted with the comments. We'll get there later. I love y'all I appreciate y'all stopping by and checking me out. But I used to religiously watch MSNBC. Don't kill me. Don't hate me. And I used to faithfully watch the Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer. Monday through Friday, I watched it all the time. And most of y'all who've been around who are familiar with me to any degree know that ultimately what led me out of the Democratic Party was my conversion, the Lord saving me. That was a one factor that really impacted my mindset as far as politics because I started looking at worldviews and the fruit that came from the Democratic Party, their politics, what their policies supported, marriage, unbiblical marriage, transgenderism, radical abortion in any kind, abortion, all these different things, and I just started examining them in light of Scripture. So that was probably the most compelling aspect of what brought me out of the Democratic Party. But the other thing, even then, when I still knew I wasn't following them, I would still watch some of the same political shows. I would still watch CNN regularly. Up deep into the 2016 election, I was watching it. But then I saw an episode of the Situation Room where I deliberately saw them spin the story and talking about Trump, and I was not even close to wanting to follow Donald Trump at that time. Wasn't even considering voting for that guy. But when I saw they deliberately spun a story to make him look like he had flip-flopped on immigration after coming to a hard conclusion, it really made me start thinking like something ain't right here. So then I started noticing other stories. People started sharing various stories of how the mainstream media has distorted information and lied, basically. It's not putting out bad facts or questionable facts, but it's basically propaganda, what I started noticing. So I have a series of trust. If I shared everything that I've seen over the years, we would be here for hours. And I don't want to take that time away from y'all. But I want to share a few today, clips, highlights, news stories that impacted me to the point to where I seek out independent news sources. I do not, repeat, do not trust the mainstream media. And how does this tie to my primary topic of policing? Well, I think it's pretty simple. They're the ones where the vast majority of people get their news. Your CNN, MSNBC, ABC, Fox, those are the main sources where people get their news. The New York Times, various Washington Post, NPR. So if they are spewing out distortions of facts or they're spewing out lies, we all should be concerned about that. We should be extremely concerned about that. So I'm hoping that after I share some of these stories, that some of y'all will look elsewhere for your news. Whoever's out there who watches CNN or MSNBC or ABC primarily, those NPR, Washington Post, New York Times, those groups, if that's where you get your primary source of news, I'm begging you to be more discerning. Because by the time we're done here, by the time I'm done with here, if you have any semblance of an open mind, I pray that you will see clearly how these people have sought to deceive. I don't want to be here all day. I'd like to keep it to an hour, hour and a half tops. I won't be able to get to every story because I want to get some comments. I would love to get some feedback from y'all. But we're going to get the ball rolling here. This is the one that we all remember. I'm pretty sure we all remember this one here. Let's just let this one play out here. This was during the BLM riots. During the BLM riots, when there was all the mayhem was going on and cities were being burned down across the nation. Check out the lower third here from CNN. I'll just let it play, and then we'll just talk about it a bit, and then we'll move on to the next.
Laura, what you're seeing behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin over the course of the night. A second night since Jacob Blake was seen shot in the back 7 times by a police officer. And what you are seeing now, these images came and come in stark contrast to what we saw over the course of the daytime hours in Kenosha and into the early evening, which were largely peaceful demonstrations in the face of law enforcement.
And real quick, I want to pause right here, but even the way he framed it, shot in the back 7 times by police officers. No more details were given. People were burning up cities. Come to find out what? Dude had a knife, was fighting the police, resisted, tried to enter his vehicle. Man, I'm telling y'all, the spin going on, but video's almost done. Let me let it keep playing.
It wasn't until night fell that things began to get a little bit more contentious. Things were thrown back and forth. Police started using some of those crowd dispersal tactics like tear gas, even playing very loud sounds to push them out. And then what you are seeing, the common theme that ties all of this together, is an expression of anger and frustration over what people feel like has become an all too familiar story playing out in places from across the country, not just here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Christine, Laura.
But look at that. Look at that lower third. Look at that lower. Look at that. They call it Chiron or something. Fiery, but mostly peaceful shooting. Fiery, but mostly peaceful protest after shooting. If that's not the media trying to influence the way you think, I don't know what is. Who else? Who does that? Who does that? Honestly, that's what a propagandist does. That's what they do. They influence you to think a certain way. At no point, and typically during a lot of these presentations, these newscasts, they don't discuss the main meat of the issue. They said, one of the last things he said was that people feel as if this has become an all too familiar incident, something along those lines, he said. But where's the balance in media reporting to give a different perspective? Where's that? Why is that hardly ever brought up? Why is the other side ever hardly ever brought up? All we have is emotionalism these days, and we have political individuals who are politically motivated to influence the minds of the masses. And the sad reality is, most folks will not do the homework to put themselves in a position to even listen to the other side, even consider their perspective. They'll turn on CNN and they'll just expect them to tell them what they're supposed to think. And that's the unfortunate reality. That's the unfortunate reality. Hey, Nisha, what's going on? Yeah, you nailed it. That's pretty much the way things are going on right now. Jesus loves you. I never watched the news, haven't in years. No, and I'm assuming you mean the mainstream media, because there's some news outlets that are very good out there, and I've listed them off before. I'll probably list them again throughout the course of this live. But there's some news outlets that are very fair, very balanced, but they're tough to come by, because typically they'll get, if they're on YouTube, they'll get suppressed if they share a story that the tech oligarchs don't like. So it's really tough. It's really difficult to find those solid media sources. So what you are saying is you took the red pill from the hand of Morpheus. Yeah, I did, definitely. Isn't it crazy, even on the Matrix, how the red pill is the one that enlightens you? If you look at it from a political perspective, parties, blue and red being the Republicans, blue being, how the red pill is the one that wakes you up and enlightens you. The blue is the one where you're still stuck in the Matrix and you're believing a lie. If that is not accurate, I don't know what is. My goodness. What's up, my brother Corey? Man, we still got to get together, my man. Good to see you. I'll be, man, I'm telling you, I may lose a little steam here and there trying to share truth to folks with people. But when it's all said and done, I always come back. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. But yeah, man, I will continue to be here. There are too many. Honestly, I believe that these discussions that we have when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to the truth about policing, having a balanced approach when having these discussions and these conversations about law enforcement, I honestly believe that it is a life or death issue. What do we see? What happens when you get a young person in general, who is literally terrified of the police, who truly believes that the police are hunting down Black men? He listens to people like LeBron James and that attorney Crump. He listens to people like that, and he is terrified of the police. So when he gets stopped by a cop, he takes off and he runs. Or he decides to resist. He could be putting his life in someone else's hands, because anything can happen after that point. Or what do we do with the individual who sees every report, because those are the ones that they post that make the headlines, that make the nightly top news story, when they hear about the rare occasion, and I said rare occasion, where anyone is shot by the police, let alone someone who is innocent and unarmed. Well, in that rare occasion, when they see these incidents happen over and over again, because that's all that's being put in front of their face over and over again, time after time after time, and he's already unstable or already angry, what do we do when that individual feels motivated by these news stories to go out there and shoot up a few cops? That has happened on multiple occasions, and it will continue to happen. Almost every time we have a major incident or allegation, we have some type of retaliatory act where somebody decides to, quote unquote, take the law into their own hands and attacks a cop or a few cops. I mentioned it on Wednesday, the Dallas shooting. The New York, there were 2 cops gunned down. I should have looked it up before I left. I think it was somewhere down south, maybe Alabama or somewhere along those lines, where there were some officers who were shot. And all these individuals were motivated by revenge. They were motivated by their hatred of the police. LA, when those 2 officers were shot up and the dude just took off running, they managed to survive. But this discussion is truly a life or death discussion. That's why I always come back to it, because I truly believe that my hope and prayer is that when I'm having these conversations, when I'm sharing this information, when I'm sharing this data, that somebody will get it and they'll be like, wow, I did not know that. I never heard that before. That's my hope. That's my prayer. And then they decide, you know what? If a cop pulls me over, I got nothing to fear. For the most part, over 99% of your interactions with the cops, I have nothing to fear. If I act right, then you'll be able to spare your own life, or that individual will save their own life. Even if you're dealing with a bad cop, most likely they'll be able to save their own lives. That's my goal. That's my desire with Code Red Conversations. That's why I ask y'all to share my content, share my videos, so this message can go out to more people. Let people know that there's a black man, black cop, retired, who talks about these issues. And he talks about some tough things, and it may piss you off sometimes. But instead of getting angry, examine the facts that he's given, and see what happens. Examine the facts. Real quick comment, we'll move on to the next video. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, brother. I'm putting in work, man. This is, other than trying to be a faithful servant, trying to serve the Lord and my family to the best of my ability, this is my greatest passion. I study these topics on a daily basis. I look for crappy stories. I look for stories where cops are just out there acting a fool. I try to be balanced, and I know it's not always easy. There's some days I see stuff, I'm like, man, it sucks I got to report this, but people need to know that I'm not sitting up here just rah police, that I talk about these issues and I don't shy away from them. I do not shy away from them. If a cop is acting like a fool, then he needs to be handled to the fullest extent of the law, prosecuted. That's always been my mindset. Always been my mindset. Hey, Latanya, what's up, homegirl? I definitely appreciate you talking about me. I know you've always had my back. I greatly appreciate it. You know, you be trying to clown a brother all the time, but I'll let that slide today. Okay, next news story. So we have the fiery but mostly peaceful protests. If that's not insane, I don't know what is. Fiery but mostly peaceful. So we have that. This is probably the one that got me the most upset, to be honest with you. The one I'm about to share with y'all. This is the one that really woke me up. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, you literally have to be kidding me when I saw this news story. 1 second here. All right, here we go. Okay, heads up, language warning, okay? If you got kids around, young people, or you just don't feel like hearing the language, I'm giving you a heads up. It's coming, the foul mouth, all that. So here's your warning, okay? Turn the volume down or put your headphones on or come back later. But I want you to know that this is going to start off all peaceful and calm, but it will quickly escalate.
Family and friends.
This was in Milwaukee after, let me kind of paint the picture here real quick. This was in Milwaukee after a night of protests and riots, where there was an allegation that a white cop, if I'm not mistaken, the initial story was that a white cop had shot an unarmed black man. So there were a night of riots, all kinds of protests, all kinds of stuff going on. So CNN comes along,
holding a vigil marked by,
and they're going to report it. and just listen to how they break this down.
Family and friends holding a vigil marked by prayers.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
Milwaukee police say they made multiple arrests overnight. With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
With his sister calling for peace.
Y'all burning down shit we need in our community. Take that shit to the suburbs. Burn that shit down. We need our shit. Y'all want to hurt somebody, take that shit further out. Don't bring it here. Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here. We need everything we fucking got.
With his sister calling for peace.
Ain't no calm, no crowd down. Y'all think we gonna get reckless out here? It's gonna get...
So what does CNN do? They show a short clip of this young lady saying, "Don't bring the violence here." And then they stop the news story saying that she's calling for peace. But then there's a bigger story here.
Get way worse.
Obviously.
Until we get justice, until motherfuckers start feeling where we coming from, it's gonna hit everywhere.
With his sister calling for peace.
And y'all want us to sit here and be quiet, get welfare checks, and get SSI. No, fuck them bills. I hope them motherfuckers burn down tonight. If anything gonna go, let them go.
With his sister calling for peace.
Take that shit to the suburbs. Burn that shit down. Y'all want to hurt somebody, take that shit further out. Don't bring it here. Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
With his sister calling for peace.
Fuck them bills. I hope them motherfuckers burn down tonight.
With his sister calling for peace.
Ain't no calm, no crowd down. Y'all think we gonna get reckless out here? It's gonna get way worse.
I think that pretty much makes the case, because whoever edited and shot this video, this not the CNN clip, but this overall video, wanted to make sure that people saw what went down. They take out of all she said, talking encouraging violence. After all that she said, hold on. After all that, they take one little clip of her saying, "Don't bring the violence here," but they just omitted, intentionally omitted everything else she said, encouraging violence, hoping that buildings burn down. If you want to hurt somebody, take it out. She didn't say don't hurt anybody. She just said go somewhere else and do it. Go to the suburbs, go where the white folks are, burn their stuff down. Man, I'm telling you, these people are so scandalous and sickening with their manipulation. I mean, I honestly don't even know what to say. They are, and you can't say that it is accidental. I shared this video with a guy I was having a conversation with on another friend's Facebook page. And this guy was trying to make excuses for CNN. Oh, they're just trying to call for peace. Why are you upset? No, they're lying, is what they're doing. You could have just omitted that segment. That's it. You could have just omitted that segment and reported. You could have showed the people praying. You could have, I'm sure you could have found somebody who was calling for peace and trying to stop the violence, but they showed the sister and they intentionally edit out all of her violent rhetoric. It's insane. Insane. Let me see what some of y'all are saying here. Appreciate that, LaTanya. I just can't do clips of situations. I need the full story. Thank you. Common sense is not so common anymore, and seems critical thinking is not being used. Not at all. It's not being used because the current culture, and they were taught by some folks in our generation. The current culture is trying to influence these young people into believing that critical thinking, using logic, rational thinking, those things are products of a white dominant society, and that they are destructive, they are dangerous, and these things should be avoided. What was it? The Black History Museum in Washington? They had posted something last year, the year before, talking about hard work and all these good values are considered white supremacy. That's what, and the crazy part about it is many of us, and it's seeped into our public school system. It's there already. It's been there a long time, but it's really there now. And yet, so when COVID comes along, instead of folks waking up and saying, you know what, let's use this as an opportunity to get our kids out of the public school system so they can stop being indoctrinated. No, we're fighting to put them back in there. We're putting them back in those indoctrination camps. And even worse is college. So many of us think that going to college is the end all be all of life, of American life. You have to go to college to have any level of credibility. The cool thing about it, the world we're living in now, there are people who can become successful without any college whatsoever. You can become an expert in certain fields by reading books and working in those fields. That's the cool thing about our current culture nowadays. But you have people literally going bankrupt to send their kids to a place that's going to have them hate their God, hate their country, hate them, call them racist, bigots, homophobes, and they're actually paying for that. It's insane to me. So I'm not shocked at what's going on, how people are thinking. So there's such a lack of critical thinking. It's sad, definitely. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So this is not some sudden concept, some new concept that suddenly came along. This is the way man is. When left to himself, this is how man naturally rebels against his creator. It's just what we do. And history has proven that to be the case time and time and time again. Let's see what else we got here. Wow, angry black. Yeah, she was really upset. And come to find out, and here's a kicker. Come to find out that the cop who shot the dude was black. And not only that, but the suspect had a gun. So you spend the whole night tearing up the community, burning people, burning structures down, buildings down, businesses down. You attacking people, jumping folks, pulling people out of their cars, beating them up. If I recall correctly, there was a video that they were just stopping and pulling out white folks. If you're a white, they stopped you, pulled you out of your car, and they were beating people down. Oh, let that guy go. Oh, get that white dude. If I'm not mistaken, that's what was going on that night. Insane, y'all. When it's a clip, I say nope. Yeah, where's the rest of the video? Absolutely. And that's because you got some common sense, Nisha. You demonstrate some common sense. There's some people who will argue with you on social media when you ask, well, where's the rest of the video? I want context. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Tap dancing for the white man. Trying to sell out. Oh, you're trying to keep us down. Lord, have mercy. The ignorance is so real, y'all. It is so scary. We need to continue to pray for us as a nation. It's crazy, scary. Folks are so crazy that they will find a way to justify the girl's violent rhetoric, even when they hear everything she said. Oh, 100%. Well, she's only upset because of the way they treat us. She's justified. I had that conversation in 2020 during the BLM riots with so many people I once thought were rational individuals, but who were believing the rhetoric. I had one dude tell me that he would gladly let his house be burned down in order to assist the movement. First of all, I call him out as a liar. Like, nah, you ain't doing that, homie. You're talking a good game. But this is I heard this, and I got to do a little more research. I don't know if it's applicable here, but I heard there was that Joe Rogan podcast where he had that one doctor on. I think his last name is Sanford. They talk about that whole mass media hysteria or delusion or something like that. Somebody put it down in the comments because I'm sure I butchered the name of it. But I honestly believe that we're living in a time where people are so easily manipulated. One, as was mentioned earlier, because they have zero critical thinking skills. That's one reason. Most importantly, these people just Deshauna, well, she brought that up about them having no complete lack of critical thinking, them serving the flesh as opposed to serving God. Romans 12 talks about do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This world corrupts, is what it does. And we have even some Christians are caught up in a lot of these issues, saying or professing, I should say, saying that it's okay. Sad place we are as a nation. Appreciate that, Chris. Please do share this. Please share this. The foolishness is real. You got that right, Nisha. It's real, and it is at epidemic levels. It is real, and it is everywhere. I saw one from my homeboy here, Larry. What you got going on, Larry? Larry's one of my old partners on Metro. I'm pretty sure Mortimer and Randolph Duke are betting $1 on these people. They're obsessed with CNN, ABC, Fox, and NBC. Yeah, you're right, man. And you know what? There was a time where that was not being obsessed, but there was a time where it wasn't a bad thing to go to these news outlets and get your information. But we are so far from that. We're so far from that. It's insane. Mass manipulation, MK. Yeah, I've been hearing more and more about that. Yeah, and I've been really intrigued in studying this topic of the whole issue of propaganda and mass media manipulation. I actually bought a book a few years ago, and I just happened to pick it up. It's been sitting on my Kindle for years, and I never read it. But I think it's titled "Rape of the Mind," and it talks about mind control and things like that, and propaganda and torture and things that have been done, and when people are captured and kidnapped, and how that is happening on a more and more consistent basis. So I look forward to reading that. Hey, Ms. Paula, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Yeah, and I think we're seeing signs of that right now. All right, y'all, let's move on to our next video. Let me see. Which one do I want to share with y'all? Okay. This one here should be quite interesting here. I think we're all familiar with this. Man, oh man, there's so much content. I may have to do a part 2. If y'all appreciate what I'm doing here and you want to see a part 2, because I don't want to put out a 3-hour podcast. I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm not Seiko Woods. That's my boy though, but I'm not going to put out a 3-hour show. But I do want to do a part 2 if there's enough response, if you guys want to see it, because I could go on and on with this, but I really want people to know what's going on and how they're being used and manipulated. I truly want folks to know about that. So let me get this next video up and running. This stuff really gets me pumped up, y'all. I mean, I get fired up on one end because I'm excited to share, but at the same time, it really angers me because there's so much garbage that's being put out there. And most people just are trying to live their lives. All right. Excuse me. Now, this one might run a little long. It's about 12 minutes. And I may not show the whole thing, but this is about the entire incident that took place last year or the year prior. What year was it? No, it wasn't the year prior. The whole Nick Sandman, Covington High School, Catholic high school kids, that whole incident. This video is about 12 minutes long. I'm going to let it play through, and we're going to discuss these. We're going to discuss this here. I'll stop it here and there, but remember what we're trying to do, what we got going on today. We're discussing how the media, it should not be trusted. And that's just not a claim or statement I'm making. I'm supporting my claim, my statement, my stance with evidence, not just talking. I'm not just giving you my feelings, evidence of how the media has influenced us to believe lies. And they will continue to do so until we hold them accountable by just rejecting them, period. But let's get into this video right here. This was really well done. Very, very well done. I don't know who did it, but this was very well done. Let's just check it out and listen.
The media reported that a Vietnam vet and Native American elder, Nathan Phillips, heroically stood between an angry mob of white students and a group of black men. But the unfact-checked story caused so much confusion and anger that I myself was blocked on Facebook for simply requesting facts. So I decided to make this video to hopefully open some people's eyes. I'm Matt Orfala, and here are 5 lies the media spread about Nathan Phillips and the Covington Catholic High School students. Lie number 1, the students were taunting black people.
They originally started by taunting a group of African Americans.
Not only did the students not taunt the African American group known as the Black Hebrew Israelites, it was the Black Hebrew Israelites who hatefully taunted the students and everyone else.
You will burn in the lake of fire with everybody in America. That's right.
They preached hatefully at the Native Americans.
You still worshiping Tony Paul. It was crazy. A damn buffalo can't save you.
They spewed hate at Catholics.
Like this child molesting family preach right there. Right.
They were blatantly sexist.
Where's your husband? Bring your husband here. Let me speak to him.
This is the problem, Israel. There's always our women coming up with their loud mouth because they're not used to dealing with no real men.
They were also blatantly homophobic.
On the back of your dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust, but you give faggots rights."
When people at the Indigenous Peoples March started taking issue with their hateful speech in textbook, demagogic fashion, they deflected that outrage by appealing to everyone's prejudice against people wearing Trump hats.
Now, these are the folks that the media initially said were the victims. These group of white kids wearing MAGA hats were the enemy. That's what we were being told. But then as time goes on, which is usually the case, if you're patient and you wait and allow the story to come to fruition, be found out fully, come to find out that typically what we initially hear is a bunch of garbage. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out here that don't even know about this. They still believe that there are a bunch of MAGA hat wearing kids, white kids, harassing black folks, harassing Indians. That's what they believe.
You got these pompous bastards over there wearing "Make America Great" hats again.
And why y'all not after them?
Angry at them?
Little Billy, little corny ass Billy in there.
Why you not angry at them?
Little corny ass Billy Bob.
You got all these dirty ass crackers with a red "Make America Great" hat again on, and your coon ass, you want to fight your brother.
You little dirty ass crackers, your day coming. Yeah, I will stick my foot in your little ass.
I mean, just listen to that. They're just talking to them any old way. And the full footage, if you do a search, I'm not sure if YouTube still has it up. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. But there's video footage of the entire confrontation between BLM and the Covington High School kids and the Native American guys. You get almost every bit of every detail of what went down. You get almost every detail. And you'll see those kids sitting back and just kind of taking it and trying to have a little fun in the process. But the way it was spun is truly, truly sickening.
The Lord said he had a perpetual hatred. Who's he speaking about? You so-called white people.
Won't you uncover that hat? See how you got these pompous bastards come down here with their dirty ass hat on? Little dusty ass animals.
After over an hour of taunting, the students joined together and responded not with hate, but with high school sports chants.
That's right.
Look at it.
Now, I know not every so-called Hebrew Israelite is like this. Not all of them spew out this hateful rhetoric. A lot of them do, no question about it. So I wonder what group this was.
It's fully out.
This guy think he's stoked.
Yeah, look at his head. You serious?
Even though the students had only responded with high school chants and everyone was laughing, Nathan Phillips insists the students were hateful to the African Americans.
When the youth encountered the Black Israelites, they responded hate with hate.
Lie number 2. The students were harassing Native Americans.
Teens in Make America Great Again hats harassing a Native American elder.
I'm so glad that kid got paid. I'm so glad that kid got paid. All these people out here just spewing out all this garbage. Back up a little bit.
An elder.
A disturbing viral video shows a group of teens harassing Nathan Phillips. They originally started by taunting a group of African Americans. They moved over to Nathan Phillips.
This young fella put himself in front of me and wouldn't move.
He and others were harassed and taunted by students from Covington Catholic High.
Where is the? I'm sorry, y'all. They keep stopping here. But where is any ounce of journalistic integrity? I know I'm silly for even asking that question. How come are they afraid to say, hey, do we know if we have all the facts? Are they afraid of doing that? Because they're making absolute statements. They were harassing this individual. They were harassing these allegations. Like at least say that. At least demonstrate that. At least say that these are what the allegations are. They're terrified of going against the popular narrative these days. All right, let's get back.
High school. A young man got right in his face.
When one looks at the full video, it's revealed that the actual story was the complete opposite. Nathan Phillips walked directly into the students and up to Mr. Sandman. All over mainstream and social media, people interpreted Sandman's smile as disrespectful.
He's got the smug look on his face.
Oh, this dude.
You get your narrow ass out of the way of that old man and show some respect. That's what my parents would say to me.
Everyone that sees that smug look wants to punch that kid.
Despite all the opinionated interpretations of Sandman's face, it's worth noting much of the time he's not smirking, but just standing there, as the Native American man beats a loud drum right beside his head and yells in his face. Still, the media mob refused to believe the student was anything but an asshole.
That fucking kid. What a little prick.
He's like, I was trying to defuse the situation. We were trying to defuse shit, man.
Even though Sandman can be seen trying to calm down his classmate, who was being...
Let me tell you something. What's his name? Noah? Trevor Noah? Whoo! I'll be having to... Boy, when I hear that dude, that dude just gets me wound up. I'll be having to pray for the Lord to calm me down when I hear that dude talking, because all he does is manipulate. That's all he does is manipulate and provoke. And he has a platform. And somebody out there thinks he's funny, I guess. Ain't nothing funny about that dude one bit. But that's our media right now. These are the people that folks go to for news, y'all. I'm just going to play a couple more minutes of this video.
Yelled at for being white.
White people, go back to Europe where you came from. This is not your land. You've been here 2-3 generations. Compared to us, we've been here a million fucking years. So get the fuck out of my face with that.
Now, I'm no expert on who's from where, but I think I heard somewhere that Native Americans have Asian heritage. So are they even from here? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm not professing to say I know, but if there's anyone out there who knows a little more, put it in the comments or something like that. But man, I'm telling you, just look at what was going on. But you heard almost none of this. You heard almost nothing about this. You had to search out this kind of information. But yet you had your CNNs and your all your Trevor Noahs and all these other news agencies calling this kid out like he was the enemy, like he was a problem. That one dude, let me move up here in this one interview with this one guy talking about how it all went down. I think he gets emotional or something like that.
Students were accused of mocking Phillips for chanting and dancing, but they were doing that even before Phillips arrived. Some say they were offended by the students' tomahawk chops, but that's its own controversy and is nothing compared to the extremely serious, unfounded character attacks the media and Phillips made against the students. Lie number 3, the students were dangerous, angry racists.
Phillips says immediately sensed danger.
There was a group of over 200 young, angry white men. When I went in front of that mob and what appeared to be their prey, all that hate and anger transferred to me.
When I was there and I was standing there and I seen that group of people in front of me and I seen the angry faces and all of that, I realized I had put myself in a really dangerous situation.
Before I started that song, my prayer was, God help me, witness what's going on here, God protect us. I was absolutely afraid. All that.
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. He was afraid of those little white kids, but he had no fear towards those so-called Hebrew Israelites over there, threatening everybody. Man, he saw an opportunity to get some attention, maybe get paid by doing some of these interviews, and the media, mainstream media, just ate it up like they always do. This is so sickening, y'all. I'll probably say that 100 times by the time this video is over with. But this is nuts. This is crazy. I think the only one I saw on the mainstream that spoke about the facts, and I'm sure there was somebody else out there. I just didn't see it. But I think Tucker Carlson did a pretty detailed breakdown of this whole incident. Oh, goodness sakes. Let's back it up a little bit. There's no such thing as journalistic integrity. Yeah, that's dead and gone, bro. That is a thing of the past. That is a relic of the past nowadays. The Hebrew Israelites are brutal. They be in Harlem and 42nd Street here in New York spewing that same hate. I believe it. Yeah, I definitely believe it. What's that one? Vocab Malone. If y'all aren't familiar with Vocab Malone, he's a Christian brother, and probably the primary emphasis of his ministry is dealing with Hebrew Israelism and all their foolish theology, their cultish behavior. He deals with it very well, and he gives some sound arguments against what they believe, sound biblical arguments. So check him out if you get an opportunity. Vocab, VOCAB Malone, MALONE. What in the world is up with this? All the cussing, right? And you professor, how you got the Bible in your hand. I mean, these guys are just walking, talking contradictions, cussing up a storm, preaching hate, but somehow they managed to manipulate the text of scripture so much to where they feel like everything that they do is biblical. Trevor Noah is the opposite of comedy. You nailed it, bro. Absolutely. Not even close to funny. He's miles away from funny. For all we know, Native Americans got here a few months before anyone. Hey, honestly, who knows? But I heard recently, I was watching somebody doing some medical commentary, and he's talked about how Native Americans have Asian ancestry. So that causes you to ask a lot of questions we really don't know. I still don't know what that kid did. Nothing. That's why he got paid. I don't know how much he got from CNN and these other media outlets, but I know he got paid, and he deserves every bit of it, if not more. Being white. Yeah, that was it. He was guilty of that. He was guilty of not bowing down to to the woke mob. That was his biggest offense. 5 minutes of fame. I can't. That white kid that he walked up to, did I hear that correctly? Oh, what? Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you heard it right. Completely ignored them. Completely ignored them. Yeah, vocab be putting out some good info, good content. I'm telling y'all, go out there. He's been doing this for years now. I would say that if you spend some time studying his material with your Bible open, taking notes, and with some of the guests he has on his show, you would be more than prepared and ready to deal with any of their foolish rhetoric. You would embarrass them. If you spent a few hours on there, you would embarrass them. Yeah, Nisha, look them up, especially in New York. Yeah, you probably definitely need to be hip to them because they're pretty much they pretty much hit all the big cities where there's a large Black population. Philly, I know they're out there, the Atlanta area, all down south, Texas, New York. We got some out here in Vegas, not that big, but we have a few sects out here of Hebrew Israelites. And I think a lot of times that they are very influential in the Black community because unfortunately, a lot of Black churches, you have a lot of there's a lot of women, and you don't have the most masculine male. And there's some people that are drawn to that. They're drawn to their bravado and their emphasis on masculinity. But it's such a distortion of being what a biblical manhood is. What these guys put out, it's really sickening. But I think there's something to be said about a lot of churches that is so ran by women, whether it's Black churches or predominantly white churches, whatever. There's something to be said about that. And it's unfortunate that there aren't more men who are stepping up and playing more roles within the church. Hey, Karen, long time no see. Yeah, this is my second live this week. Yeah, I'm back at it. So hopefully I'll see you more often and stick around. I got a lot more content I plan on putting out, God willing. I love vocab. Also, his colleague Syntax Kelly is awesome as well. I've never heard of Syntax Kelly. I appreciate that. I appreciate you putting them out there like that. I saw them outside the Philly Zoo and I was like, is there a Renaissance? Yeah, with all the tassels and all the old school garb. Right. Those folks are crazy. They're nuts. And but I've been trying to get back into apologetics. I've been hitting up my studies and really trying to prepare myself for the eventual confrontation. I know that as my platform grows, Lord willing, by the grace of God, that I'll come in contact with all kinds of folks, and I want to be as ready as possible. So I've been reading and studying. I study all this police related material and so I can know my facts when I'm having conversations with people. A lot of people like to talk a good game and tell me how wrong I am until we start having conversations about the data. Then everything changes. Everything changes after that. All right, let's go. Let's move on from here. I'm going to I think I showed that one long enough. Let's see if I can show y'all at least 2 more videos. Okay. Now this is what went on during last year's election cycle. There were a lot of claims of voter fraud, things like that. But one thing, and I don't question. I'll tell you, I'm one of the main advocates. I'm one of the main ones who thinks that the election was stolen. I followed the whole election, post-election discussion and investigations and all that kind of stuff. I followed that stuff, and I am convinced that folks came along and stole last year's election. There's no doubt in my mind. However, I can't say what's even worse, but one of the biggest aspects of it is the fact that the role the media played in the election. Let me share a story with you. I don't know which one I want to share with y'all here. Let me see. I don't know. News article here. I'm gonna share this news article with you right here. Okay, Kenosha. There's an article from the National Review. There we go. Make this a little bigger. Okay, let's go. The election was 4-5. I think Newsweek got an article talking about that, didn't they? Okay, let's hit this up here. Where am I at? All right. New York Times buried Kenosha reporting until after the election, says reporter. Nellie Bowles, the former New York Times reporter who is married to Barry Weiss, the former Times op-ed editor, whose newsletter Common Sense is a Substack sensation and published top shelf op-eds practically every day, says in the latest edition of Common Sense that she found the liberal narrative about rioting in Kenosha last summer wasn't true. But the paper of record buried her report until after the election last November. This is her claim. And she has been very vocal about this. She has been all over talking about this. She actually left that paper that she was in the New York Times behind that. Until quite recently, the mainstream liberal argument was that burning down businesses for racial justice was both good and healthy. Burning allowed for expressions of righteous rage, and the businesses all had insurance to rebuild. I heard that repeated over and over again during the Summer of Love. I don't know about y'all. Comment down below if you guys heard that at all. This notion she discovered when she went to Kenosha was false. The part of Kenosha that people burned in the riots was poor, multiracial, commercial district, full of small, underinsured cell phone shops and car lots. It was very sad to see and hear from people who had suffered. Beyond the financial loss, small storefronts are quite meaningful to their owners and communities, which continues to baffle the Zoom class. She also wrote about she wrote about that. And then something she says, let me highlight this here. Forget it. Something odd happened with the story after I filed it. It didn't run. It sat and sat. Now, it could be that the piece was just bad. I've sent in bad ones before, and I'll do it again. A few weeks after I filed, an editor told me the Times wouldn't be able to run my Kenosha insurance debacle piece until after the 2020 election. So sorry. Her claim is that that's what the New York Times told her, that they would not run it until after the election. Why might that be the case? I think we know. There were a variety of reasons given: space, timing, tweaks here or there. Eventually, the election passed. Biden was in the White House, and my Kenosha story ran. Whatever the reason for holding that piece, clearly covering the suffering, financial and otherwise, after the riots was not a priority. The reality that brought Kyle Rittenhouse into the streets was one we reporters were meant to ignore. She nailed it. Why did Kyle show up? Because of all the destruction that was going on. Whether you agree with him or not, whether you think he was foolish or not for going out there, he had a good, valid, and just reason for wanting to go out there and help people defend their livelihood. The old man who tried to put out a blaze at Kenosha store had his jaw broken. The top editor of the Philadelphia Inquirer had to resign in June 2020 amid staff outcry for publishing a piece with the headline, "Buildings Matter Too." Dude had to resign because of public pressure. Staff outcry. If you live in those neighborhoods on fire, you were not supposed to get an extinguisher. The proper response, the only acceptable response, was to see the brick and mortar torn down, to watch the fires burn and say, thank you. Wow. What do you say to that? Like, honestly, I mean, it's not shocking for those of us who are who pay attention to what's going on in the world. But the mere fact that they purposely chose to, now, could there be another reason? I suppose. Could there be another reason why that story wasn't shared on a more public level? Yeah, that's possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible. But considering how volatile and polarizing last year's election was, and how there's evidence of other stories being suppressed by the media, why would any rational person honestly believe that they wanted to make sure that Trump was gone? That was their primary focus. They wanted to make sure Trump was gone. Since when is arson healthy? Never. To folks like us who are reasonable, it ain't ever healthy. But man, reason has left the building a long time ago with the world we're living in now. Larry, there's somebody that you and I both know. I'll give you his name later. I'll send it to you. But when I made that comment about someone telling me that they would gladly let their building burn down, is somebody that we both know. I'll hit you up later and tell you and fill you in. Let me see here. I always wondered why when men get incarcerated, they turn to Muslim or Hebrew Israelites opposed to Christianity. And I think that's one reason. Well, I think there's also a rampant attack. There's so much of that rhetoric that goes on that says that Christianity is a white man's religion, that Christianity is the religion of the oppressor. You get all that nonsense, even though Islam has still there are many Islamic countries that still have slavery going on right now. Muhammad was a white man. He wasn't black. That's his historical fact. But there are so many distortions of the Christian faith, and it's so easy to attack, especially here in America. There's so much anti-Christian, anti-American rhetoric going on. And this is where we are. And you get these brothers in the prison system who a lot of them are fit, and they're confident talking, loud talking. And for a lot of, and I think in particularly in the Black male community, where there are a lot of us who don't have our fathers have a minimal role in our lives, I think it could be very attractive to some people, some young, easily influential people. What you got there, Dwayne? Good seeing you. They boasted about the role they played in it about a year ago. A year ago. Was it? Yep. The secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. Oh, yeah, I read that article. Yeah, I mean, check that out in the comments, y'all. If you hadn't read that article, please check it out. These people were literally talking about how they managed to manipulate the election. I think Newsweek also reported. I think this here is from the Times. Yes. And they literally boasted and bragged about how they took control of the election. And that's where that term fortified that was mentioned earlier came from. This is where we are as a country, y'all. And the more and more we sit back and we're afraid to get involved in what's going on, the more these people are emboldened to do whatever they want to do. Again, check out that article in the comments. Election was definitely stolen. Time magazine wrote exactly how it was done, but spend it at the same time blaming Trump. Right. Yeah, I guess it was Times, but I thought it was Newsweek, but they might have as well. I keep saying we're repeating 1930s Germany. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading up on that, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I talked with a woman whose niece's beauty shop was looted. The woman said to me, "It has to happen in order that things change." My head just about exploded from trying to understand her reasoning. That is irrational thinking. I would have asked, and this is typically what I do ask, what needs to be changed and why are things so bad? Like, tell me something that's so bad right now. And then I want to hear their arguments for it, because their arguments fall apart when examined. They always fall apart. They're so weak. People talk about the criminal justice system, police brutality. Man, stop. Miss me with that. Man, we'll go all day on that topic. We'll go all day. And their facts are so poor and the arguments are so weak that it doesn't take much to defeat them. But there's a lot of spin going on also. So you have to be mindful of that. It absolutely is insane. For communists, everything they do is acceptable to forward the revolution. Absolutely. If you try to stop them, you're a reactionary and an enemy of the revolution. Only reactionary actions are newsworthy. That's it, bro. That's it. And we need to understand that a lot of this is communist and socialism, Marxism, Marxist propaganda. We're seeing all these things in action. This has been shown, as Brett said earlier, this has been shown through history. And I think it'd be a good thing to open up and do a little historical research and reading so that we can see what's really going on, because this isn't new, y'all. This isn't new. It's new here in the US to this extent. We dealt with the same thing during the 60s as well. And there have been some other uprisings here and there. But yeah, we're definitely in some unprecedented times, I believe. They're continually saying the quiet part out loud, boldly, because one, they feel so empowered right now. And two, their elitist mentality says the common Joe are knuckle dragging morons that we're incompetent to put it together. That's good right there, man. That's good. I think we're very close to a civil war. I believe that too. Now I know there's a lot of debate, and there are a lot of people who see things a little differently on both sides of the issue. But I think we're dangerous personally, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're dangerously close to civil war, a civil war. The thing is, the scary part about that is, I mean, for us as believers, we shouldn't be fearful. Those of us who are here, who are followers of Christ, we shouldn't be fearful. But the part that can be a little unnerving is the fact that how these people can manipulate and they can control the media. This is why you only hear one side of the argument. How often do you see, unless you're watching local news, do you hear about when a black officer shoots a white suspect? Honestly, you almost never hear about it. The ethnicity of the officer is never brought up unless he's white and the suspect is black. That's the only time it's brought up. And we need to be aware of that. And we need to let other people know about these facts. So again, if you're just showing up later on during this video, please share this video so more people can see what's going on. I hope to cut this video up into segments and then share it so it can be in a little more bite-sized pieces. And then, okay, one more comment here, and we'll show one more video, y'all. Yesterday, Jason Whitlock made a great point. I love Jason Whitlock when he said the history that these whiners have been deprived of is that of Marxism, communism, socialism. You have more? Let me click on it here. Yeah, you're right, though. He definitely hit it on the head. These people have no idea of how these regimes historically have destroyed nations, destroyed lives. There's so many people who are just out there thinking that it was all good and that it's all about the people. And it's all about bringing people together and taking away from those that have and giving it to the have-nots and being fair and balanced, and garbage. When it's all said and done, there's always somebody sitting on top who doesn't have to struggle. Whereas everyone else is struggling, there's always the haves who will always be in power, and they'll always get things and they'll always have opportunities that those of us who aren't rich, they always have opportunities that we won't have. Very unfortunate. All right, y'all, I'll share one more video, and man, I appreciate y'all riding along with me here. Okay, here's one. There's a little fun one here, a little fun clip. There's so much. I have like 2 or 3 more videos keyed up. Hold on 1 second. But I don't want to keep you out here all day. I want to keep it short. I know we all have lives and things going on. Where are we at here? Okay, this was a fun one, I thought. Y'all remember the ramen guy from after Chris Cuomo made that one of his many asinine statements? All right, let's fire this one up.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful. And please.
There's the First Amendment. You just gotta look it up, Mr. Como.
Now, let me show you the First Amendment. I think I actually have it over here. No, I think I deleted it. Oh, I do have it. No, give me a second. But that's nuts. You have a supposed. We all know he's not. So don't jump on me for this statement. We all know Chris Cuomo isn't credible. We all know that. But you have a supposed credible. Oh, I thought, what did I do? Okay, here we go. You have a supposed or someone who's supposed to be a credible newscaster make a ignorant, stupid statement like, since when are protests supposed to be peaceful? Oh, my goodness. All right, let's pull this up here. Oh, this isn't it. No, that's not it. Sorry. Oh, I got it right here. My bad. I got it. Scroll down to the bottom of this. First Amendment, right here. In case there's any question. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Right there, peaceably. Man, these forefathers, man, as flawed as they were some brilliant men. Brilliant men. And they knew what they were doing. But let me take this down here. So let me see if there are any additional comments here, y'all. And its effects on the citizens of his country. Yeah, oh, no doubt. Talking about the Marxism, communism, socialism. So many people are just oblivious to reality. Wait, he was eating noodles. Yeah, man, my man has some top ramen noodles uncooked, just munching them like he was eating some Doritos or something. Yep. Crazy. But y'all, I'm gonna wrap this video up here, man. Like I said, I had at least 3 more articles and videos keyed up, ready to share with y'all. But I don't want to drag this video out too long. I keep saying it, but please do me a favor, share this content, share my content. If you come across any articles, whether it's police related, tactics related, regardless of the perspective, whether it's a officer being brutal with his use of force, or an allegation, or just you see a tactic that's just a little questionable to you, send it my way, y'all. I'm trying to be consistent. I'm trying to put out content at least 5 days a week, go live 3 days a week. That's my goal. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is my goal, to go live, so we can have these conversations. More people can know what's really, really going on in this world, and not be caught up in the media lies. I don't know how many I hit on today. Well, 5 videos, maybe, articles, some 4 or 5 of them. I'm not sure. But I think I've made my case pretty good. Now, I'm not bragging, but I think I made a pretty good case of why the mainstream media should not be trusted by anyone who is even close to considering themselves to be rational. But once again, make sure you follow my content. do me a favor, y'all. Go to coderedconversations.com, my website. Support what it is that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get some additional equipment so I can put out better content. Go buy a t-shirt. Go to shop, coderedconversations.com/shop, and pick up a t-shirt. I have some cool t-shirts with the Code Red Conversations logo. I got a t-shirt, Unwoke to the World, on the back, Made Alive in Christ, with some scripture verses back there. And remember, when you go there, that you're supporting what it is I'm trying to do. Because the more people know the truth, we might be able to wake up some folks and lead to even deeper conversations. I want to share one thing real quick. My man AD Perkins and Dwayne Haney, he's in the chat right now. Dwayne is in there. Shout out to Dwayne. Keep him in prayer. He's been going through some issues with his family, so definitely keep your brother in prayer. But we plan on putting out a show on a weekly basis, Lord willing, where we deal with pop culture. We'll talk about, we're a bunch of nerds getting together, talking about MCU, comic books, sci-fi, other movies from a biblical perspective. We'll probably start doing some reviews of movies you might be interested in, and you may wonder, is this a good place to go or a good thing to watch? And so our goal is to hit up these topics and be able to have some conversations and possibly guide other believers, steer believers towards more Christ-centered content, and have conversations that may lead to much deeper conversations. So be on the lookout for that. We're still in the planning phase. A lot of it, we don't even have a name yet, but you'll see all of us sharing out that content once it starts rolling out. But once again, I appreciate y'all for being here. My hope and prayer is that I see y'all on Monday, Lord willing, with a live at 2:00, same time, same station. And once again, as always, in the meantime, stay safe, God bless, and make sure you join the conversation.